With a 120Hz display, an overclocked Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, a triple rear camera system and a whopping 6000 mAh battery with 80W fast charging and plenty of AI features, Nubia's Z60 Ultra offers higher specs at a much cheaper cost than the mainstream flagships. We've even got the Z60S Pro that can save you even more money, so let's check out these phones and see exactly what they can do. So full disclosure before we get started though, the video is sponsored by Nubia, and they've sent me both of these phones for free to showcase to you guys. So first up, we're going to start with the prices, and both of these phones are coming in at incredibly low prices for the specs that they offer. And we've got the Nubia Z60 Ultra starting from just $649, that's also £649 for the UK or €729 for the EU, which for a phone that's got plenty of matching specs with things like the S24 Ultra, which is double the price, and it's even got some better specs than the S24 Ultra, so that's pretty surprising for the price. You can also snatch up the Z60S Pro for a little less, and it's coming in at $569 for USA, £569 for the UK, and then €669 if you're in the EU. Now both phones are roughly the same size, although the Z60 Ultra is just a few millimeters bigger in all of the dimensions, but you can however see they've got very different designs. Not only do we have different textures on the back, but we've also got completely different camera modules, and for the phone themes as a whole, the Z60 Ultra features a lot more squared shapes, whereas the Z60S Pro is a lot more rounded, and you can see even with the body of the phone, the Z60S Pro has much more rounded corners. Now turning them on, they've both got 6.8-inch 120Hz AMOLED displays, but there are some slight differences between the two. Now the Z60 Ultra supports HDR10 and it's got a peak brightness of 1500 nits, whereas the Pro is 1200 nits. And then we've also got 1116 by 2480 resolution on the Ultra and a slightly higher resolution of 1260 by 2800 on the Pro, and both displays have an aspect ratio of 20:9. Now both displays however look great. They're also smooth and responsive and just a pleasure to use overall. Now both phones feature a glass front and rear with an aluminium frame, and holding them side by side they both feel very well built and comfortable to hold in the hand. Now the Z60 Ultra weighs 26 grams more, coming in at 246 grams, but you can barely notice it in the hand. And the Z60 Ultra also has an IP68 water and dust resistant, but the Z60S Pro doesn't. Now on the hardware side, the Z60 Ultra is using the latest Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 leading version, and the leading version is more powerful than the normal version of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. It's an overclocked version of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, and it's got the Cortex X4 core clocked at 3.4 GHz instead of the 3.3 on the standard version. And then when it comes to the Adreno 750, which is the GPU, that's clocked at 1 GHz instead of the standard at 900 MHz, so put in simple terms, it's faster. Now I ran it through Geekbench 6 where it scores 2250 for single core and then 7005 for multi-core, and this Z60 Ultra has 12GB of RAM and 256GB storage. The Z60S Pro is powered up by the previous year's chip, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, and this one scored 2069 for single core and then 5795 for multi-core, which is still a great score. Now both phones are going to be able to play the latest games in great graphics and high refresh rates, and they're going to be able to handle whatever games you throw at them, but for the mobile gamers out there, the Z60 Ultra is of course the much better option due to the increased performance, as its chipset is the fastest available on the market at the moment for Android phones. Now for those of you that want to snap some photos, we've got great camera systems on both phones, and both of them feature a triple camera system. On the Z60 Ultra, we've got a 50 megapixel primary, 64 megapixel periscope with 3.3 times optical zoom, and then finally we've got a 50 megapixel ultra wide, and something that we don't see very often is optical image stabilization on all three cameras. Now the 50 megapixel primary camera has a 1/1.49 inch sensor with phase detect autofocus, laser autofocus and optical image stabilization. The periscope camera is a 1/2 inch sensor, and this again has phase detect autofocus and optical image stabilization. And then finally, it's a 50 megapixel ultra wide, and this one is a 1/1.55 inch sensor. It's got phase detect autofocus and of course optical stabilization. Now as you can see from the photos in front of you, we get some great photos overall, and these are all taken just by pointing and shooting the camera without any manual changes. Now the phone is equipped with the Nubia AI Photography System 2, and this uses AI to improve photography, and we've got advanced features like AI ultra clear picture quality algorithms to simplify things and make photography easy. On the video side, it delivers 8K at 30 frames a second, we get 4K at 120, 60 or 30, and then it's the same with 1080p, so we'll just take a look at the video footage now. So here's the video from the primary camera, 4K, 60 frames a second. Got a lot of wind coming at me and it's just started to rain unfortunately, but we'll just do a slow pan. Again, that rain's getting heavier and the wind's very heavy, so we'll see how it deals with that, but slow pan back again. And now we'll do a jog again. I'm running into the wind, but we'll do a jog forward to see what the stabilization's like. And that's the video from the primary camera. Now we're filming from the ultra wide again, 4K 30 frames a second, just walking forward slowly. Getting windy and it's starting to rain, so just pan around slowly to try and get out of this wind because it's definitely going to come out. And there, car coming. We'll do some jogging with the ultra wide so you can see what the stabilization's like. And that's the video from the ultra wide camera. Now this is the video from the telephoto, 4K 60 frames a second. If we do some panning. Now I'm completely still at the moment because when it comes to telephotos you really can't be moving around and taking video. But for those who want to see, if I walk forward, this is what the stabilization's like. Now if I jog, again at this zoom level, not going to be great. But that's the telephoto camera, 4K, 60 frames a second. For the Z60S Pro, we still get a great camera system, although arguably it's not as impressive as the Ultra. For the primary camera, we get a 50 megapixel wide-angle camera with a 1/1.56 inch sensor. It's got phase detect autofocus and optical stabilization, the same as on the Ultra. But then when it comes to the telephoto, we've got an 8 megapixel telephoto, and this time it's a 1/4.4 inch sensor, and it's got phase detect autofocus but no optical stabilization, and it's electronic only. And finally on this one, it's a 50 megapixel ultra wide with a 1/2.88 inch sensor, but again we get good photos from the cameras, and these were again just all point and shoot photos without any manual adjustments, and again this phone is also equipped with the Nubia AI Photography System 2. Now for the video, we get the same resolution and frame rates as the Ultra, so that's 8K at 30, 4K and 1080p at 120 frames a second, 60 or 30. So we'll just check out the video samples from the Z60S Pro now. So this is the video from the primary camera on the rear. We got it 4K, 60 frames a second. Weather's not great, it's a bit overcast, there's a lot of wind coming at me, so we'll see how that comes out. We'll also just do a slow pan. And pack it around again, and then we'll just do a little jog so you can see the stabilization. So holding it with two hands here and just jogging along, and we'll see how that comes out. Now back to walking again, a lot of wind coming at me, so I'll see how that comes out on the microphone. But that's a video from the primary camera. Now this is a video from the ultra wide camera, again 4K 60 frames a second, just walking along slowly. Just do a pan. Slow pan back again. Walking forward again, I'll just jog forward so you can get an idea what the stabilization is going to be like. And there's the ultra wide camera. If we drop to 1080p at 30 frames a second, it lets us video from the telephoto. Now I'm not going to walk while doing this because you just can't walk at this zoom level, but we can pan around slowly, look down the road, pan back round the other way, Now for the selfie cameras, we've also got a big difference between the two phones. Because the Ultra is aimed at the gamers, you can see we've got an under-display selfie camera, and in the dark areas I have to say it's pretty much invisible, but with light colors on the screen you can just about see it if you look for it, but to be honest, when you're using the phone under normal use, you just don't notice it's there. Now it's a 12 megapixel selfie camera, and I have to say they are improving a lot for the under display. You can see here that we get good selfies for an under display camera, but what I have noticed is that lighting is very important. Outside where there's loads of light, it's great. Inside where there's plenty of light, it's okay as well. But in low light conditions, it's just not going to perform well in any situation. For those of you that do take a lot of selfies though, and you need that good quality selfie, we've got the Z60S Pro, which is the better choice. It's got the punch hole camera top center, and this houses a 16 megapixel selfie camera. And because of this, it does deliver much better selfies both indoors and outdoors. So if you do take a lot of selfies for Instagram and other socials, and you don't do much mobile gaming, then this is the phone for you. Now this is a video from the selfie camera. So we're just coming into low light here, so we're going under there where there's not much light, so this will give us a good idea of how it performs in the darker areas as well as the lighter ones. So if I just walk on through here, so we'll just see how the stabilization is for the selfie camera if we go for a little jog. The wind's died down a bit now, which is good. Just run around. I just do some panning round as well. So this is the quality you can expect from the selfie camera. Now this is a video from the selfie camera, 4K, 30 frames a second. Just go slow pan round. Try and keep myself in the centre of the frame. Again, it's a bit overcast, there's a lot of wind coming at me, so let's see how that comes out. For those who care about the stabilisation, we'll just do a little jog, give you an idea of how stable we're going to get from the selfie camera. Again, lots of wind coming at me now, and it's starting to rain, but that's a video from the selfie camera. Both phones are packed full of useful AI and photography features, and to name a few, we've got AI blur, and this allows you to select the focus point of any photo after you've already taken it. It works on people as well as objects, and it's going to allow you to create that bokeh effect even if you didn't take the photo that way. We've also got the magic eraser, which I'm sure most of you have seen by now, and if you take a photo and you've got any unwanted people or objects in it, then you can easily just erase them. And then we've also got an AI sky, and this allows you to easily make adjustments to the sky after you've taken a photo. When it comes to using the phones, first of all, we've got monster batteries on both phones. The Z60 Ultra is an impressive 6,000 mAh battery, which is also capable of 80-watt fast charging, so this means that when you do eventually run out, it's not going to take long to recharge it. And unlike other smartphone brands today, they also supply you with that wall charger in the packaging as well as a USB cable. On the Z60S Pro, it's a 5,100 mAh battery, but again, we still get the 80-watt fast charging, and again, this also comes with the wall charger and the USB cable in the packaging. Now, something else Nubia supply you with for both phones is protective cases, and both phones come with a protective case that protects the phone well, and it's going to save you from any drops or falls, and I have to say it's great to see Nubia's commitment to actually delivering everything we need inside the packaging, so we don't have to go out and spend additional money on things like chargers and cases like we do with so many other phones out there. Now on the software front, both phones are running iOS 14 based on Android 14, and it works well. It's similar to a stock Android, but of course there's some slight changes and tweaks here and there. So we've got things like the quick access bar with all of the shortcuts to toggle on and off. Here's the settings menu, and we've got sections like theme and personalization where you can quickly customize wallpapers, lock screens, fonts, app icons and animations, as well as much more. For the gamers, we've got the game space utilities that some of you are probably going to know from the Red Magic phones. And this allows you to customize and have shortcuts for things like frames per second and CPU and GPU information live in real time. It's also going to clear the memory for you when you're loading the game to get optimal performance, and you can swipe to reveal it in game at any time, and you can set performance profiles, open on-screen controllers, we've got screen recording and much more, and overall it's just a great feature for the gamers. Now for general use, it's been great, and the UI has been fast and snappy when browsing the web or socials, and I haven't had any issues and I haven't run into any bugs so far. And Nubia's statement also says that they're committed to regular system updates for at least 3 years. Now overall, both phones are great and they deliver some decent specs for the price, offering much better value than its mainstream competitors. If you prefer a full-screen gaming experience or love taking pictures with the phone and the camera is a big consideration, the Z60 Ultra leading version is the choice for you. But if you prefer a better selfie with a good gaming experience and a decent camera performance, then the Z60S Pro is for you. Now of course I've placed a link for both of these phones down in the description below, so you can go ahead and check that out now. And hopefully I've covered everything for you in today's video, but if there's anything I've missed or you've got any questions about these phones at all, then just ask in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But thanks for watching the video and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest tech.